They don't put in extra work. They don't go above and beyond to hone their skills, improve their game. This is a club. This is a get-together. This is a player meet and greet. This is a hangout, and the WNBA is just where they choose to hang out. And the NBA and the owners within the league, they're funding this hangout.
The WNBA is in full-blown panic mode. Not over ratings. Not over attendance. This time, the threat is far bigger. Unrivaled, a new league, is waving a massive payday in front of their golden goose, Caitlin Clark.
Feel it? Can you feel the panic reverberating throughout the WNBA dump? WNBA players think they have leverage. Key word, think. Now, in their defense, they do have leverage in the short.
After months of hearing players slam poverty wages while the league rakes in record revenues, the WNBA is now staring down its worst nightmare, a competitor willing to pay them what they're worth.
I don't know what to believe from financials, but they got a lot of money backing them from TNT Sports and a lot of investors. And word has it that they came within $10 million of breaking even their first season. That's damn sight a lot. That's damn sight a lot better than the WNBA's done ever.
Let's be crystal clear about what's happening here. Unrivaled, the 3-on-3 startup league making waves since January, has just wrapped its inaugural season, and the numbers are nothing short of staggering.
Unrivaled will forever change the WNBA.
For sure.
And the way that they do business, the way that they treat their players, any agreement going forward. Unrivaled did things that were unprecedented. And I think it showed players their value, and players in that upcoming CBA are going to ask for everything. And I think that they're going to have to make something work if they want to see the product on TV, right?
Players in Unrivaled average $220,000 for just 8 weeks of basketball, nearly triple what the average WNBA player earns for an entire season. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark, the woman who almost single-handedly reignited interest in women's basketball, will make just $78,668 in her second year with the Indiana Fever. The math isn't just insulting. It's borderline criminal.
Essentially stalled for a new collective bargaining agreement in the WNBA. For the first time ever, WNBA players think they have leverage. Key word, think. Now, in their defense, they do have leverage in the short term. The problem is, if this short-term leverage is used and the 2026 WNBA season is canceled, it could have devastating long-term impacts on pretend basketball.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Unrivaled isn't just tossing money around for the thrill of it. They have a plan. League President Alex Bazell has already confirmed salaries will climb even higher in 2026 after their debut season shattered every financial projection. In year one, the league pulled in over $27 million in revenue and nearly broke even, a rare feat when most startup leagues bleed millions. Now they're gearing up for round two, with their sights locked on the one player who could turn them from a promising experiment into a full-blown threat to the WNBA's monopoly, Caitlin Clark.
I'm wondering, will the WNBA get within $10 million this season? I kind of doubt it, considering Caitlin Clark's missed, 13, 14 games or something like that? We saw ticket prices plummeted. We know the ratings have gone down in games that she's not involved with, which has drove the ratings down across the league. So I don't know.
If you're enjoying this, hit subscribe, because the tension in the WNBA is boiling over. The 2025 All-Star Game in Indianapolis, every single player took the court wearing black t-shirts reading, "Pay us what you owe us." Days later, more than 40 players packed into a heated meeting with league officials, the highest turnout in WNBA history. They've now opted out of their collective bargaining agreement and are demanding salary caps of $45 million per team and individual salaries up to $1 million. The problem? They're making those demands to a league that just lost $40 million in what it calls its most successful year ever.
In the All-Star Game, wearing "Pay us what you owe us" t-shirts, WNBA players whose salaries are subsidized by the NBA wear t-shirts declaring "Pay us what you owe us." They must have thought this was a great idea. Oh, folks, we're really going to stick it to the owners. We are really going to stick it to the league. We're going to walk out in solidarity with a t-shirt that says, pay us what you owe us, and then they'll have no choice but to pay us what they owe us. Now, my question is, what exactly?
The timing couldn't be better for Unrivaled to make its move. While WNBA players fight for scraps from a league that's bleeding money, Unrivaled is proving women's basketball can be profitable, while actually paying athletes what they're worth. The contrast is brutal. Angel Reese pocketed $50,000 just for winning the Unrivaled championship, more than 2/3 of her entire WNBA rookie contract. Paige Buchers is set to earn $350,000 in her first Unrivaled season, more than her entire 4-year WNBA rookie deal combined.
Is that Paige Buchers' 10-week commitment to Unrivaled? 10-week commitment, 10 weeks to Unrivaled. She will make more in that first year than she will in the WNBA, where she's only projected to make $78,000. And I know there's still some haters, some unbelievers mad that women decided to bet on themselves, make this startup that is already putting the foot on the gas, right? Already making the WNBA look bad. I understand that. And they're wondering how they're paying for it. Well, Unrivaled made $1 million in ticket sales this year. Unrivaled made over $1 million in merchandise sales this year. And that's not even counting like the jerseys.
Now picture this. Caitlin Clark signs with Unrivaled for the 2026 season. Overnight, the league lands the most marketable player in women's basketball, a proven box office draw who can pack arenas and crash streaming platforms. But what if it doesn't stop there? Unrivaled has already floated the idea of expanding from 3-on-3 to full 5-on-5. League executives have hinted at bigger arenas, new formats, and higher stakes for future seasons. Imagine Unrivaled 2027, a full-scale league featuring Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Paige Buchers, and every other star sick of WNBA paychecks that don't match their worth. They're playing in NBA arenas, airing on TNT, and earning salaries that reflect their true value. Meanwhile, the WNBA is left with whoever couldn't land a better offer, playing in half-empty gyms while their former stars sell out Madison Square Garden just 20 miles away.
Alex Brazel, the co-founder of the 3-on-3 Women's Basketball League composed of exclusively WNBA players, told Front Office Sports that the league has signed nearly 90% of its player pool for the 2026 season. Quote, "We have a few spots left, open the field, and then we're pretty much ready to go."
The WNBA's response? Pure delusion. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert keeps talking about transformational change and hypergrowth while clinging to the same revenue-sharing model that's kept players underpaid for 28 years. The message to players is essentially, we know you're worth more, but we're going to keep paying you less. Because reasons, it's like watching someone try to put out a house fire with a garden hose while the fire department sits idling at the curb with a full tanker. And the most infuriating part? The WNBA had every chance to treat Caitlin Clark like the franchise-saving superstar she is. Instead, they let their own players turn her into a punching bag. They stood by as veterans cheap-shot her, mocked her popularity, and forced her to apologize for bringing attention to their league. It's the most backwards business strategy in sports history. Sabotaging your biggest draw out of jealousy.
I've been telling y'all this. The league doesn't like Unrivaled. I'm tired of going back and forth with people that's no business will want you to work for them and then basically replicate their business and try to make it better and all that type of stuff. No business does that. So it baffles my mind how a lot of y'all sit back and think, oh, the WNBA loves Unrivaled. No, they don't.
Meanwhile, Unrivaled is rolling out the red carpet for every player who walks through its doors. Luxury apartments, personal chefs, childcare services, state-of-the-art recovery facilities, and even a Sephora-sponsored glam room. They understand that treating athletes like professionals means more than just cutting a check. It's about building an environment where they can thrive on and off the court. The WNBA's version of player care? Telling athletes to be grateful for charter flights they only got after decades of complaints. Financially, the contrast is damning. Despite all the talk about growth and popularity, the WNBA is still bleeding cash, surviving only because the NBA has subsidized its losses for 28 years, hundreds of millions of dollars in total. They now want 50% revenue sharing, despite owning just 42% of their own league after selling majority control to keep the lights on. Unrivaled, on the other hand, has raised over $35 million from serious investors, locked in a $100 million media rights deal with TNT, and signed major sponsors like Samsung, Ally Financial, and Miller Lite. All while paying players more than any women's pro sports league in history. They're not begging the NBA for handouts. They're not making excuses. They're proving women's basketball can stand on its own as a real business.
It continues to show that this league is where people want to be because they treat them right. They're providing the resources for them. They're promoting them the way they should be promoted. And that's what women's basketball players deserve. That's what women deserve. A lot of you may be wondering, well, why can Unrivaled do it and why can't the WNBA do it? The WNBA can do it, but you need to understand can and will and choose to are all different.
The desperation inside WNBA front offices has to be off the charts right now. They're watching their best players openly flirt with a competitor that offers better pay, better treatment, and better opportunities. Satu Sabali just announced she's played her last game in Dallas, right after spending time with former Oregon teammate Sabrina Ionescu in Unrivaled. Connect the dots, and here's the truly scary part for the WNBA. Unrivaled isn't even at full strength yet. They don't have Caitlin Clark, Aya Wilson, or several other megastars who could transform the league overnight. They're already thriving without the WNBA's biggest draws. Imagine what happens when they sign players who can single-handedly double TV ratings and triple merchandise sales. The WNBA's collective bargaining agreement clock is ticking. They have until October to reach a deal with players or risk the first work stoppage in league history. And now, they're not just negotiating against their own athletes, they're competing with a league that's already proven it can do what the WNBA insists is impossible. Pay women's basketball players like the professionals they are.
Unrivaled is making moves. Unrivaled is making moves, and they making them in a major way, y'all. They are making moves in a major way. Unrivaled announced the signings of look, they're going and getting the young, popping, upcoming talent. WNBA, y'all better figure something out. Y'all better figure something out. Unrivaled is making moves. We already see the players talking about they are willing to strike. They want what they want. Pay us what you owe. Pay us what you owe.
The most telling part of this saga? Even WNBA legends are starting to question the league's approach. When players wore "Pay us what you owe us" shirts during the All-Star game, the crowd literally chanted, "Pay them," while Commissioner Kathy Engelbert was on stage presenting awards. The fans get it. The players get it. The only people who seem blind to basic economics are the ones running the league. And then there's the Caitlin Clark factor. Every metric confirms what's obvious to anyone with functioning eyes. She's the WNBA's biggest draw by a mile. When she's healthy, Indiana Fever games average 1.81 million viewers. When she's out, that plummets to 847,000, a 53% drop that should have every WNBA executive in an emergency meeting. She's not just popular. She's irreplaceable, so when Unrivaled inevitably comes calling with a contract that dwarfs her WNBA salary, what's her incentive to stay loyal to a league that treated her like a villain? The WNBA spent her entire rookie season letting veterans cheap shot her, trash her popularity, and make her apologize for drawing attention to the league. Then they acted shocked when people suggested she might be better off elsewhere. That's not just bad business. It's organizational malpractice on a level that would get executives fired in any other industry.
Now, the WNBA has allowed players to play in off-season leagues for however long because they know that they are not paying them high enough salaries. Now, the goal of all the WNBA players, including Nafisa and Stewie, which is why they started Unrivaled, is to be able to pay the players more, give them livable wages, make it so they didn't have to go overseas, and I commend them for that. I think it's fantastic what they did with Unrivaled.
The beautiful irony is that Unrivaled was co-founded by Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart, two WNBA veterans who got tired of excuses and decided to build something better. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't beg for handouts. They went out, raised capital, locked down media deals, and built a league that actually values its athletes, its entrepreneurship at its finest, and it's making the WNBA look like a relic from another era. The move to larger arenas and a 5-on-5 format isn't just speculation, it's inevitable. Unrivaled has already proven it can make 3-on-3 profitable. The natural next step is to give fans the full basketball experience they want. When that happens, the WNBA's so-called competitive moat vanishes. They'll just be another league fighting for talent, except they'll have the worst pay, the worst treatment, and the weakest business model. This is what happens when you take your customers for granted for too long. The WNBA spent decades telling players to be grateful for whatever crumbs they decided to share, never imagining someone might come along and actually treat these athletes like the valuable assets they are. Now they're facing existential competition from a league that's figured out what they couldn't: how to make women's basketball profitable while paying players fairly.
The NBA is still under this major umbrella of the NBA, and a lot of that affects the way they do things. As long as the WNBA is in this 360 deal with the NBA, you're not going to see them promoting their players, paying their players, all the things that Unrivaled is able to do because they don't have that middleman.
The writing is on the wall, and it's written in dollar signs. Everything the WNBA has failed to deliver for nearly 3 decades, Unrivaled is now providing. They're not just offering more money. They're offering respect, equity stakes, and a business model that grows with success instead of in spite of it. They're showing the world exactly what the WNBA could have been if it were run by people who actually understood the value of their own product. So here we are, watching the WNBA panic as the chickens come home to roost. They were handed the greatest gift any sports league could ask for: a transcendent superstar capable of carrying an entire sport, and let petty jealousy and organizational incompetence turn her into a liability. Meanwhile, Unrivaled is building the future of women's professional basketball, one well-paid athlete at a time. The question isn't whether Unrivaled will grow and compete with the WNBA. The question is whether the WNBA will even exist in its current form once players realize they don't have to accept poverty wages to play pro basketball. The revolution isn't coming. It's already here, and it's airing on TNT with competitive salaries and genuine respect for the athletes who make it possible.